Hey, welcome back to my DVD Extras. I'm Natalie Buck. I'm part of the cast and crew for the media product Obsession. My next question, how did you attract/address your audience? We did this by listening to the feedback we'd gotten from our audience research, mainly done for me by the questionnaires we handed out and what kind of questions we answered. We tried to give the audience, like the people we'd asked the questionnaires to, the kind of films that they wanted to watch. So we asked them the kind of questions like, what kind of setting would you prefer? What do you like about thriller films? What don't you like about thriller films? What is your favourite thriller? What's your favourite subgenre of thriller? We asked these kind of questions, and the feedback was really to help us be inspired as to make a film that would appeal to this audience. So some of the feedback we got for the kind of location that we chose, the setting, half the people we asked our questionnaires to, half of them said they would prefer a modern setting, and only 3 people went with gothic setting and 2 for the country setting. I think people mostly prefer modern thriller films because I think the subgenre of like crime thriller films is a lot more popular in today's day and age than, say, a supernatural thriller film. I think it works better and it appeals more to the audience who's likely to watch it today. I think country and gothic weren't that popular because I think gothic is more of a horror subgenre thriller setting. I don't think it appeals to that many people in this day and age. I think people now, as technology is so advanced, they want to see something that they can relate to, and so a kind of Victorian Gothic setting for a thriller film we didn't think was going to work. Another reason we didn't go with that is because of where were we going to film it, really. We needed somewhere we could get inside that we could get outside of, and we wanted a theme of continuity. We couldn't have a really old country manor that looked all Victorian and Gothic style along next to a busy street, which would have been our only place to film, and there'd have been no way of getting rid of that. So that's why we went with the modern setting, and I'm glad most people selected that, and I can understand why most people selected that as their favourite setting. And so that's what we did, and that's one way we coaxed our audience in, because we put it in a setting, our film in a setting which we felt would appeal to them and they would like. When asked what people didn't like thriller films, the majority of my comments back, because I said please make a comment, because obviously I couldn't put a little box for the kind of things people wouldn't like. So like there'd just be numerous things like bad acting, bad plot lines, and basically pretty much everyone I asked came back with a comment about the storyline of the thriller film. People said if it was an unconvincing storyline, they wouldn't enjoy it. So, and funnily enough, the person who wrote that also put that they selected Orphan, the 2009 thriller horror film, as their least favourite thriller because of this reason, because it was an unconvincing storyline. If you've seen it, she's a little girl, she's actually an evil old woman trying to steal husbands, but instead the husband has taken her on as his daughter. It's very messed up. And so we wanted to stick with a more simple, believable plot line. And that's what we went with the story of Fagin being obsessed with Betsy because she turned him down, because it's believable, it's understandable. And that's what we went with, really. Also, another person put a bad ending puts me off the film completely. The lucky thing about us making a thriller film opening is the fact that we didn't have to worry about having a bad ending, because your imagination can run away with you, because obviously it's not a finished film. It's up to you what happens in the end. The fact that the swing and the scarf are swaying in the breeze like Betsy was sat on at the beginning may perhaps inspire you to believe that he's killed her and that he's had his way with her, or because it's swinging in the breeze, maybe she's free, maybe she got away from him, sorry. That's one of the beauties about this film, so we didn't really have to worry about attracting our audience like that, because it leaves you open to imagine your ending for these characters however you want, which is a lovely thing to be able to do, for us especially. Also, I think the ideas that we sort of pinched and tweaked from other thriller films helped us to make our thriller opening film successful. Conventions, a couple that I haven't mentioned in the previous questions, we nicked from a couple of films. I've thought of examples now. In Phone Booth, really clever psychological thriller film, and also in Jaws, the horror one with the killing sharks. You see the camera from their point of view, so everything you see is from the killer's point of view, and that's what we did with Fagin in just one sneaky little snippet when he was watching Betsy and Henry walk down the pathway. We put that in because we just thought it was a clever extra twist, because you can clearly see the rest of the time that he's not watching them, that it's just a camera following them. Obviously, because it's a film, it's not anyone watching them. Whereas that bit from behind the trees with all the leaves covering over him, you can tell that's someone watching him, watching the two, and that makes you really suspicious and anxious of that character. And then we of course reveal to you who's in the bushes. It's Fagin, hiding in his hoodie, his awful clothes. And that's one way we attracted our audience, by that, because we used conventions that we'd seen in other films. Also in thriller films, the idea that you have characters who are often confined to small spaces, like in Buried, to make them feel more isolated and alone and afraid. We use this kind of idea. I did Buried for one of my medium research films, my case studies. If you'd like to have a look at that, or if you have already, great. We took this isolation idea and we wanted to show clearly that Fagin was an isolated character compared to Betsy and Henry. And so we, of course, showed him united with Betsy at the start, and then once she'd rejected him, he then set out to make her feel isolated, to make her feel alone, and that's why he killed off Henry, because he doesn't want anyone being with Betsy but himself. And his attitude is, if I can't have her, no one can. So that's why Henry's bumped off. And then it goes from the pair of them being isolated, and then Fagin's thinking, the idea is to hopefully that you, the audience, feel that Fagin believes that they'll now get together because he's taken away her love like she took away his, by her own self means, of course. And so that's how I think we attracted and we addressed our audience, because we looked at the popular conventions of thriller films from our own case studies, from thriller films that we really enjoyed, and we tried to transfix and take and improve and develop ideas from these thriller films and put them into our own. Also because we listened to what they liked. So we went from using our own knowledge of popular films, how they were well received and why they were well received, such as Phone Booth and Jaws, and Orphan, why it wasn't so well received, and we tried to steer away from that with our simple plotline and also our modern setting. Thanks very much. Bye!